Hey, what's up, everybody? On a Wednesday night, January 21st, I have my friend Mister Gig Geezer here. So super stoked.
Sure.
This is our futuristic setting of courier service in 100 years. This is
Yeah.
flying courier SUVs. But
Right.
yeah, tonight, like we always do, just be the same kind of thing we do when we do it last mile. We talk about some of the other apps. We kind of talk about how things are going for us. And I'm stoked to have Geezer here with me. I asked him last week. He was like, sure. And so if you guys aren't familiar with him, or you're not familiar with me and you're watching on his channel or vice versa, you should be familiar with both of us. So his information's in the description below.
Yeah, I see a couple of folk now. In fact, there's one guy, he's a local guy, Mr. SJ. He know who he is. Um, I've met him and his son actually. So, in fact, when we first time we met, I was waiting to pick up something. He's like, "Hey, and we got to talking. And so whenever I notice him, I always acknowledge who he is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see Gordon Avery in here. He's
Mhm.
saying hi to both of us. What's up, traveler? We got Brian in here.
Mhm.
We got Blue Elf down in Florida.
Okay.
Sue here, New Jersey, and it looks like
Cortez, he's from Texas. Okay.
I'm gonna mess this one up. What is this name?
That's SJ. That's
Oh, okay,
SJ.
okay. Good thing I didn't even try that one. I don't know if it's just my eyes or what, but I was
No,
like,
no,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
gonna.
That's why I just said SJ. If you can remember that, you're good.
But welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us. If you've ever caught Geezer and I doing this before, it always ends up being a lot of fun. So, you guys got
Yeah.
anything you want to say during our conversation or whatever? Throw it out there. We'll hit on it for sure. But I'm stoked to have you, man. Happy New Year.
Yes.
And
Thanks,
I don't
man.
even know if I want to bring it up. I don't even know if I want to say it. I mean, like, have you say it because I feel like
What?
it puts some people in disbelief. You crushed it last year.
Some would say I did.
Well, I
And
would say you
I
did, and I talked to a lot of people who had one of their worst years.
right.
Like 2025 was
Mhm.
unbelievably rough for most people I know.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, I tend to downplay a lot of what I do, maybe because I see folk who have things going on that I'm aspiring to get to. And so
Mhm.
it's an incentive for me to keep pushing. And so, it just so happened too, December was my best month. It eclipsed another month that I had talked about during the year as well. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, that a lot of folk were struggling. And, uh, I mean, that's
I mean, I
man.
guess on top of that, what
Yeah,
I would add to not make people going, wait, what did he make? And because first of all, remember a lot of you, he has multiple vehicles. He has a box truck. He has a cargo van. He has a lot of responsibility that comes with his earnings that many of you do not have. Just
yeah,
saying,
that's
expenses.
that's true. I mean, they would say more money, more headaches, more problems. In fact, they're one of my very first insurance customers, and I know I'm going off on another story as an old guy, but just hear me out, y'all. Back in 2003, when I went on my own as an insurance agent, I used to do group benefits and all, and I walked into this garage, and it was him at that time, his wife. His young son was like a year old, a makeshift playpen in the office, and he had three guys in the back. The last time I saw him, he had 29 employees, three offices, multi-million dollar business, and this was all within 10 years. Okay. And the thing he told me was more money, more headaches. So in my own little world, I had a few more headaches, but some of it was because of what I brought in to the delivery and transport space, and I've been working to unload some of those headaches. A lot. I that's another conversation, but hopefully that explains some things. As I've tried to explain in some of my videos, how I had other things, I had a lot of stuff on my plate, and that also kind of forced me to do what I've been doing, because I've had a lot of shit on my plate. It's as simple as
Yeah,
that.
no. I'm just also pointing out how we've talked about this many times. I guess part of it was assumption that many of the audience just know this about us, is that you and I both are at different levels of it, and you're farther along, but we've both built businesses.
Right.
Like a lot of the gig economy has not even taken on the notion of that yet, nor embraced it, nor taken steps forward to. And I'm not dissing anybody. I'm just saying a lot of people are still just app, or
Right.
just this,
Right.
or just that, or just
Right.
DoorDash, or just Instacart even, or whatever.
Right.
But that's a little
Yeah.
different. But again, I always point it out on the last mile, because that's what we're saying, is that by doing any gig app, even if it's just one, you're in. I know
You're in
people
the
argue this,
space,
but
but you still have to treat it as.
you're in the independent contractor space, whether you like it or not. You are. Start having fun, explore, look
Right.
around, check things out, man.
Treat it like a fucking business. I've been saying that for years.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, like,
treat it
think
like a
outside
fucking
the
business.
box. Watch your day. Like, see what's going on in your day. I'm surprised. I make connections all the time, even if it's not to like necessarily let's say I'm doing a curry. I'm in these B2B places and these warehouses all the time. These people know me. So I'm not trying to steal a curry client, but I'll be honest, there are some I could take. I don't, because that's not my style. If they approached me, I would have a conversation with them though. And I will tell you that,
I've had some conversations with folk, and
and
it's just a matter of
that's why I'm saying it.
right.
Even on a company I love and who has done a lot for me, I would never steal a client, but if a client approaches me, that's fair game.
Yeah, always. So yeah, so as he was saying, yeah, I had in fact, person who's close to me now said, "Oh, you're gonna do 15." Yeah, I'm kind of hinting at it now, but I'm like, man, you got a lot of dominoes fall the right way. Well, those dominoes fell the right way. Yeah. And I ended the year.
I mean, you made my number look pathetic, and I thought I was like, I thought I had some skin in the game. I'm like, damn, dude, look at this.
I told you, I'm
like a lawn dart. I was like hitting it right in the middle every year.
No, man, you hit October. I told you October was probably going to be that number, and in fact, I thought I exceeded my number. I even exceeded my number, y'all. So it's not like, but as I also put out in videos, I said, look, yeah, you won here, but now you gotta almost put that behind you and start thinking about what's ahead. And that's what I'm dealing with right now as well. I'm in the process of trying to make some newer things happen so that I can be in a position to keep going, because my concern is not so much as setting a numeric goal. No, my goal right now is to remain relevant, so that I can go back, so I can be out, so I'm in a position to make what I'm making and beyond. So that's what I'm seeing.
Is there no future that you even see where you potentially have others using your vehicles? Please?
See that? Yeah.
Even if it's small, even if it was two people, one, whatever.
I actually have talked about that with someone at some point. The question for me,
it's still money for you. That's, I mean, this,
right?
Too, so
it's just a matter of trusting people with your equipment. I mean, you don't want folk to tear up the shit,
and your clients,
right? Yeah, you don't want to disappoint. You don't want to disappoint clients. So, at this juncture, no, it's not. But it is something that is realistic for a lot of reasons. Yes, to scale up to where you can have another piece of equipment in motion to earn money, but also, hey, I'm a geezer. I am, I am bona fide senior citizen based on Social Security standards. I don't know how much longer I can go at this level. I mean, I start telling folk how old I am, and they're like, damn, you're that old? I know, Steve, we always talk about this shit, but it's just that I got to be realistic about this as well.
I see it as more like, how long do you want to go? Because there's some people at your age who look awful, are doing awful health-wise, and I don't mean it mean.
Yes.
To anybody else. Right. I mean, to anybody else out there, but like,
absolutely.
You're healthy, I'm healthy. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, I can say that I am medically certified as of December 2025. I'm medically certified. So yes, I know that a lot of folk ain't that way. You're right.
Oh, yeah. And I mean,
Mhm.
and more, I'm talking about like here in Colorado where we have a lot of fit people. We have, I mean, I know some. I know 30-year-olds, mid 30-year-olds who are, I'm in my 50s, who are in much worse shape than me.
Yeah.
Much worse.
Yeah. I remember when I was in my 30s, buddy, man, I was in my 30s. Let's see, I could still run at age 30, I could still run a sub 5 minute mile. Um,
Damn.
I was still lifting 250 over my head into my 40s, squatting 400 in my 30s still, and could dunk. I dunked until I was 40. Then gravity took over. Right, Road Warrior. Hey there, man.
What's up? What's
See,
up, Rick? How you doing, man?
yeah, he's Ontario, California, y'all. So
He lived out here. He's lived in Texas. I met Rick.
okay,
I met
okay,
Rick in person. Yeah, he's good people, man.
all right. So
We when we
yeah,
did the town hall, they got our legislation
uh-huh.
passed. Rick was here in Denver and attended that
Okay,
town hall with our elected representatives, and he stayed at the house that was rented by Pero with us.
okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
little history there, and yeah, it was good stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't know if you were thinking about scaling because I can't see you just going, okay, well, I've made my money, I'm done.
No, no.
Like you have stuff, you have it in place,
Mhm.
you know.
I want to do it as long as I feel I
Sub
can
Vinny.
do it. That I know that's the classic old folk term conversation there, but yeah, I want to do it so long as I'm able to do it. I do have in mind that once I make my next move, um, perhaps towards the end of the summer, kind of tone it to where I'm going hard for 3 weeks out of a month, as opposed to every week in a month.
Yeah.
So if I can do the same thing in 3 weeks, I'm okay with that. That gives me a week to maybe even pick up a bowling ball again, something that I haven't done since October 2021. Who knows?
So here's what I'll say so that I don't. I guessed it was going to be about. I think it was going to be about 118. I'll say this because I don't want to say his exact number, but I'll say Geezer got way north of 125.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I think it was 18. I think I guessed
you
118,000 or
It
something
was
near there.
now I got the exact
I know.
number,
See, I knew
man.
he'd have it.
Yeah, that's right. I pulled that shit on you, man. Let's see. No, there was two people that gave a number. The other guy said 113, 113. We'll just use that number. And then Steve said 117. So yeah, I said I'd probably hit that. I said I'd probably top 100 by September. So I was pacing, and that's exactly what happened. And I topped your number that you're talking about in October. Yeah.
But
Hmm.
for reference, the prior 2 years, I got it pretty much spot on.
Yeah, you were pretty close. Yeah, first year with the van, that was 112 gross, and then 2024 107 gross. So yeah, mhm.
Yeah. So
The game.
I won't even say it. But he was north of 125.
Yeah. I
And that
was.
like and not I'm not talking about 126, 27, 28 either.
No,
Like,
no.
north
But the
of
funny thing is, I was looking into some plays to make last week, and they told me I still don't make enough.
really?
Yes, for what I'm trying to do, there are some people telling me that I still didn't make enough, and I'm like, damn, man, come on now, I'm making money, and you're telling me I still ain't making enough. So then,
It's because everybody knows the dollar of the value isn't worth
well,
it.
it's possibly that too, but um, but I do I do what I'm in the process of making. I can be where they're talking about. It's just that, but probably the funny thing about it, once you're there, they'll push the goalpost again and say, oh no, man, you got to be here now. So
Yeah.
who knows? But yeah. This month has not been way I wanted to start, but uh, that can all change with it's not even it can all change with one phone call that I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on one phone call really right now.
Okay.
Bro, that's what amounts to.
Is this a broker?
No, ain't no broker.
Oh,
No, it's just one phone call. It'll put me in a
oh.
position where I can fuck around again the way I want to.
Hopefully he's not watching whoever the phone call isn't
Oh no,
watching
no,
this
he
because here
no,
you
he
so
don't
I
know.
can
He
fuck
don't
around again because he doesn't mean
no.
it that way. So
No, 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 no. In fact, um I got new business cards on order. They'll come in on the 28th. So as I am starting up, which is what I think is going to happen very soon, I've got new business cards to flip on to people as well. Yeah,
nice. Hey, are you doing any gig app work at all?
I am still.
You are? All right.
It's not beneath me, and that's
I know
what
it's I trust me, I know how you grind and I know it's not beneath you. I'm
mhm,
asking if you're doing it because I'm wondering, I mean, if I'll be honest, if I got to a place I don't need to, I
mhm.
wouldn't turn them off, but I'd keep
Right,
them, but I probably wouldn't be
right.
doing a lot.
Well, and that's what happened. That's happened with the gig food apps, and it's been really that way almost for 2 years now.
Right.
One of the things when I
That's why I'm
first,
asking here in 2026, have you
mm,
like have you been, which apps have you been on this year?
mainly the last mile gig apps,
Right.
the last
I'm
mile.
talking about have you turned on DoorDash, Uber Eats?
I have. I've turned them
Okay.
on, and I've
Okay.
done some. I've done a couple of DoorDash, and I've done some Uber Eat orders, and I've done some catering orders.
Okay.
Now, the catering orders, it's almost like I want to say fuck every last one of them because they fucked me over in the process. One of your guys changed the fucking metrics, he put a lot of us who helped gave his ass visibility, pretty much put our asses out the pasture. They should have reset our metrics as opposed to, reset our metrics at 100, give us a chance to fuck up instead of just when we were taking the ass beatings when we would show up and places weren't ready for an hour and then we
Yeah.
show up an hour later, that counted against us. What we found out,
Yeah.
it wasn't so much as us not showing up on time, is when we arrived at places, we took
Yeah.
the ass beatings and they fucked us over with the metrics and all.
Yeah.
So
Well,
so I don't even see orders on one of those apps, and then the other apps they lost their contract.
number one how I feel even about the word metrics. I am the biggest. I even tell
Yes.
the CEOs to their faces,
Well,
no,
the
dude,
thing,
this is wrong. Like I have a they need to be gone. I'm an independent
right?
contractor, and I was before any gig. I was before Uber ran its first route in San Francisco in 2009. I had already
Wow.
been 10 years plus doing lighting and lasers.
Mhm.
So I already
Right.
knew what an independent contractor was.
Right. Well, yeah, those guys, man.
Those
All I'm saying is
metrics,
that, yeah,
mm,
it favors the new people because they come in, taking anything and everything, and they build up their metrics. And people like me who took the ass beating and helped, like I said, gave them visibility. We
yeah,
got fucked over. We got absolutely fucked over on one of those apps. I'm not
yep.
mentioning the name because I ain't giving them the visibility anymore. But fuck them. That's the way I think about them now. Now there's another app out there that's on the same level as them. I've been getting these little rinky dink opportunities and all. I call them rinky dink, but what I try not to do is just because let's say they offer $40, I'm not taking a $700 order. If it's $40, I'll do it if the value is $200 or $300, not $500, $600, $700.
Wait, what are we talking about now? Catering or
Same
last mile?
catering app.
Okay.
Catering app.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, no, I knew we were talking about catering. I just was wondering if you had crossed over to.
No, the last mile. If you're talking about like the last mile apps,
Yeah.
same. Well, I pretty much have not strayed from my way I've gone about doing things, but because there's so many people on the apps now,
Mm-hmm.
some of the luxury, some of the opportunities that I used to get, I don't get them now. I've got to play stupid like some of them just to say just to get a piece of what I call cash flow money. I kind of treat them as cash flow money now. The gig apps to me is cash flow that helps keeping money coming in the into the account to take care of gas and things like that.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but then the load board money is where I kind of, can kind of, that's where I kind of really strategize around for that type of money. And that's, I mean, it all pays the
Well,
bills.
that's your business. That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. Like, that's why I was wondering if you had been on
Mhm.
the apps. I wanted like your opinion on like what did you see? Even DoorDash. What do,
Well, all right. Now,
same old as last year, which is still not good? Or were
yeah,
you even
yeah,
like, damn,
yeah.
it's even worse? Like
Well,
what
DoorDash, I mean, since I got zero acceptance rate, yeah, I'm not going to see anything. But I mean, I've done a couple. I can tell you real quick here. I could pull up on the screen and tell you.
oh,
I
your
did.
word's good with me, geezer.
I've done one DoorDash. I've done one DoorDash so far this year.
Okay.
Uber Eats, I've done like about about eight of them. I think. Yeah, about eight of them. Last year on DoorDash, I did all of, according to my count, all of $240 worth of deliveries. Grubhub last year, $105 worth of deliveries. Instacart, $250 worth of deliveries. Uber Eats was the one that did the most. In fact, I did over $1,000 of Uber Eats. But I remember there was a time when I did over $24,000 worth of
Well,
deliveries on
that's what I was gonna
DoorDash.
get at, man. Look at where you were years back coming on these apps.
Mhm.
I mean, you even did rideshare.
I started out, see, that's how I started out in the gig economy, y'all. I
Yeah,
started out
me
doing
too.
rideshare, 2016. In fact, this is where the story of the Taurus comes in. The 2009 Taurus, it had 176,000 miles. That's where I started in the gig economy, September 2016.
Yeah. I actually, Mr. DSN, who I just put up there, welcome, Derek.
Mhm.
What's up? I just met Derek in person today for coffee.
Okay. Okay.
But we were talking about Uber and Lyft because he does a lot of rideshare still here in
Hmm.
Denver. And
Right.
he was saying how one of his vehicles just got unqualified for Lyft. Like
Because of age.
just normal Lyft. And yeah, because it's like 2009 and
Right.
it
It got
needs
to
to
be
be
15 model years
2010 or
and
plus or whatever.
15
And
model years
I
and
was
newer.
thinking to
Right.
myself, how dare Lyft, man, until they want to pay drivers better? How dare you have those kind of standards?
Well, they've always had that standard.
I know, but they also used to pay not great, but twice as much.
Well, yeah, but they paid used to pay better than Uber,
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's
I
why a lot
agree.
of people and they used to,
In the early years.
right, and they used to treat
In
the
the early years.
drivers even they used to treat the drivers much better than Uber. If there was an issue, you can actually state your case or plead your case to them, and they would actually listen to you. You can call them and talk to them. And Uber, it was always the same crazy shit. Although there are a couple of
Yep.
times where they actually, in fact, if it's okay, I can share with you one story where Uber actually was very human in the situation. And what happened was, I picked up this young girl
Wait,
from a train station.
what year first?
One year, this was 2000. I want to say 2017,
Okay,
2018.
so we're going back a few years. Okay.
Yeah. So I picked up this young girl at the train station, and um, apparently some guy, I didn't think anything of it. I thought he was just making sure she got to the, got to my car and all. Come to find out, she had gotten drugged. She had gotten drugged, and they had kind of had her going to this shopping center, and I just didn't feel right trying to let her out there. And so end up thinking, well, maybe try to take her by the police station and see what they can. And they didn't do anything. End up taking her to the hospital. They didn't do anything because they asked her if she wanted to go in for treatment or something like that, and she said no. And said, well, it's on you. So then I happened to find a number, and it happened to be her sister, who was stationed here in Columbia. And what ended up happening, I stayed with her until I got a hold of her sister, and her sister made arrangement for her to get into a hotel. And I had pretty much signed for her to get into the hotel. And I did not let her out of my presence until I knew that she was in a room. She had, and then talked to her sister and all that stuff. So then I let Uber know about this. I went into very detail because I'm a writer and all. And they got
Talking
back
about
with me.
in-app chat at the time.
No, this was email. I actually did this
Oh,
by
okay,
email with them.
okay, okay.
And they got back with me, and they actually gave me $75 for my trouble.
Okay.
Uber.
Yeah. No, I
They,
remember, you know, back, I'm trying to think because I honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember what any of them were for.
mhm,
I mean, it wasn't just the $5 for canceling on unaccompanied minors, which they
right.
now allow, but like I remember getting like little decent chunks of money, like a 50 or like something like you're talking
Right.
about. And I'm trying to think of what it was for. It wasn't for people puking in the car either. It was just
They used to be
sometimes it was like almost like
$150.
sorry for your bother, sir.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
true
Yeah.
customer service. That's
Right.
gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
And
won't even they don't even have customer service for the customer.
wow, I didn't know that. You would
Yeah, I
think
mean, dude,
that.
I don't know if I told we don't use the apps because you have to be a millionaire to use the apps. My son's off at college. He was home,
Yeah,
and
I saw those pictures.
we used this is the over Thanksgiving though. We used the
Mhm,
Uber app, Uber Eats one of the nights. I mean,
mhm,
we maybe once, twice a year we do this.
right,
And just we were just here, we were watching football. We use it, and there was an issue that I don't need to go into the whole story, but they had like
mm,
they had taken us the few times I do use it. The one of the places that we order from is set always to the location that's like a mile from me. I know how the
right,
parring system works, so they tried to move it 7 miles to a different store of the same name and say, "Well, you're ordering from this one." I'm like, "No, no," and I changed it back. And I
right,
specifically have an issue with that other store too. Long story, but
mhm,
so they bring the food out, and I had to text with support, and then I was like, you know, at one point it was I'm explaining the thing and they're like, well, we're going to move you to I was dealing with just a bot, and I was like, I need a human, and they're like, well, and they were pressing, they're like, well, why do you, and I'm like, can a human call me, and they were like, no, please answer this, and they were forcing things on me, and I was like, okay, fine, but I'm like, I'm dead set to go through this because I don't use it, so I'm like,
right,
I'm in, and I'm like, oh no, I need to talk to somebody. And then this guy gets on, and he says, my name is Andrew. How can I help you? And I was like, well, first of all, can we get on a phone call? I don't feel like typing all this out. And he was like, no, we don't have phone customer service anymore. He said it in the text. I have screenshots, but it got worse. I'm asking him about this whole situation. I explained the whole damn thing. And at the end,
mhm,
he literally I was like, I'm still not convinced you're not a bot. I'm like, you know, you're throwing these just these cut comments on things that are very unique and specific. I thought I was getting a person for that point, and and he was like, well, I'm not a bot. I'm Andrew, and you know, whatever. I don't care
Is
what you
this like
think.
the
Kind of
State Farm? Is this like the State Farm commercial?
he's kind of getting a little lippy, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, man, I'm sorry. I feel like this is just awful service. You didn't offer me anything. You wasted my time in chat. I was like, you know, later, bot Andrew. And he replies, fuck you, Karen Steve. I got a screenshot of it. That's Uber customer support after 10 minutes. Fuck you, Karen Steve. And just so anybody knows, I was not being a Karen. I had an issue. And the luxury service that they say they provide ain't a luxury service. And I had an issue.
You're a better person than me because
Well, I still haven't. I'm wondering what to do with it. I'm now
put their
thinking
asses on
through things
blast. Put
better.
their asses on blast. Put them on
Right. I want to
blast.
do it the right way though. You know what I mean? I don't just want to make a video, drop it, boom, there it is. Like I want to make sure like
I would go to the I would go to the TV stations, or I would go to the TV stations on that.
yeah, you know, I think I've told you I've worked with the TV stations I mean, a handful of times here, and I know all these reporters. I've done stuff on gig economy for years with them. They're, and you worked for a media station, you know, they're in bed with
Uh,
them to a degree, so they can't.
you
I've
you
taken them
can
things before where they're like, I mean, there are some more underground, smaller things that maybe would pick it, you know.
yeah. I mean, but
But
that's also how they get their stuff. They look at everybody looks at everything, man. I mean, I
yeah,
understand. I
yeah.
know I've been out of it for since the year 2000, but I know that if you really want doing your job, and that's something that I do question with media, 21st century media, but if based on my experience, if they were doing their job, I should say, they would be looking at all sources of media in their market.
Yeah.
And that's how a story that seemingly may be insignificant becomes a big deal because they have found it in those smaller, like quote, underground media sources. That's how it
And
happens.
even when it launches, I had never seen it till this last time, till 2 months
Mm,
ago when it launched and it said AI interface. Like I had seen the chat before. This says
mhm.
AI interface for customers, and it even has those black little like oil bubbles that'll sometimes
Right.
like it was
Yeah.
letting me know this is a learning AI.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
thinking, if this isn't a real person, the bots just stepped up to another level. Like I don't know, man. You even know that's so out of line and uncalled for. I couldn't believe that Uber doesn't even have any kind of macros or anything that people can't write that.
Right.
How
Well,
is he allowed to write that word?
he's not supposed to. In
Well, I know
fact,
he's not supposed to, but
that's how you get
fuck
flapped.
you should be like literally a macro written and saying no, the agent
Right.
can't write that. We know.
Right. Well, put it like this: if chances are, if I did it, then I'd probably be black flagged off of that app for doing it. Um, again,
Dude, I
this
was
is
taking
why.
I mean it's like 6 pages of
Well,
screenshots.
that's why I'm
And
thinking that it
I
should
got
go.
the
You could.
last one and right as soon as he typed it, I was about to like light him up. And he
Right.
was like, chat ended.
Of course, of course.
I
He
was
figures
like,
that
you
he calls himself thinking
fucking
he's
pussy.
getting the last punch in, kind of want to like take a grab at the balls or something like that. Yeah, I had a guy did some shit like that to me because I faxed him a very in fact I said fuck you, fuck your organization, fuck the other person who's on the other end of this and all this was in all this was in the facts, okay? And then so he calls himself going to try to make a little parting shot. I guess that's what it is, a parting shot,
Yeah, yeah.
and then get off
Which
the
is
phone
the
like a little
biggest wuss move in the world, dude.
yeah like a little bitch. Yeah,
Don't be a
right.
last word person. Don't
Yeah, right.
finish
So
the yelling.
right, yeah. So yeah, so obviously I cut through on his ass real good by saying what I did because I realized who was behind all the shit, and so that's why I said fuck all. I said fuck all these people in that message. I'll have to tell you off. I have to tell you off camera who and why it was about, but it's something it's something that's over and done with. This year's over and done with. I can say that much though.
So okay. So I see that hey Endorphin Factory. Where'd your handle go? Is that the real you? But what's up,
Huh?
man? He's on the other side of the Rockies. He's over in Utah. And then we got
Okay.
Gig Economy podcast in here too. And he's saying facts. Yeah, man, these are and me too, Jason. You're not a spring chicken either, Jason. Like, what do you mean? You know what a fax is. But here's what's something I was kind of trying to like. Here's my son like going to school, right? And I'm
Yeah.
watching him like be all into this. And if that's what he does is just this sports medicine for his whole life, great. I didn't
Mhm.
live a life like that. And I don't think you
Right.
did either. Like how many and I don't mean it bad. For me, I loved it. Like because it allowed me to really like dip my feet into like majorly different things.
Hmm.
I just ballpark if you don't know exactly, but I mean, were you kind of that way? How many spaces were you like working in? Because I know what a hard worker you are. So I know anything you
Hmm.
touched on, you actually got into.
Right. Well, I will say this. Since the year 2000, that's when I got out of media. I've kind of had multiple, I guess you say, iterations of myself. I've had to evolve multiple times since then. If that's what you're asking.
No, I'm even asking. I just didn't want to say a date, but like when you were in Houston being a reporter.
Okay, that's when I first started out. That's the late 1980s.
That's you in the news space.
Okay.
Like, how many other
Right.
spaces did you touch on? I'm just curious because I have a
Well,
feeling.
that's what I'm
I've
saying.
never asked
That's
you
what I'm
before, and
saying.
I think that it's.
I was in media from the mid to late
Okay,
1980s
all the
until
way
year
till there.
2000. Right. Yeah, that was my
Wow.
formal background. When I say
Well,
my
never
formal
mind. You proved the
background,
point
yeah.
about my son then.
That was my formal background. That's somebody got a degree in journalism. Okay.
Yeah.
I had wanted to be a sports reporter. And when I say that I was on the same career path as Stephen A. Smith, I was. I had the fucking hardware to back what I'm saying. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
But then I got out in February 2000.
Okay. So
And
you did it for a long time.
yeah, I did it for over 10 years. Right. So I've got more than my share of stories about and being in media. But then I worked at a car lot. I worked at the car lots.
Yeah.
I've been a licensed insurance agent since April 2001. And
Yeah.
I have an agency. In fact, I've talked about that. So those are the iterations. And then I worked briefly in medical claims, but primarily I worked at the car lot. I went back and forth between the insurance agent and the car lots for a few years.
Yep.
And then I kind of discovered the gig economy in 2016. And quite honestly, I had a conversation. Well, quite honestly, that probably has put me in a better, doing gig economy probably was the best moves that I could have made, because as an insurance agent, it ain't what people think it is. I mean, there's a lot of, I always hear this, I hear the conversations, and I had a conversation with somebody today. A lot of guys are being talked off the ledge in insurance. Between the customers and the agents, they're being talked off the ledge. The market is rough out there in insurance. And the reason the market is rough, because you've got these disruptor companies that talk about, well, you ain't got to pay all that. You only need to pay this much. But a lot of that
Right.
business
You can go
is
online. You can have your card in 2 minutes. You can.
Right. And that shit ain't worth the paper it's written on. And then when you've got a problem, you can't speak to somebody who can kind of talk you through things. This is where I come in. Okay. So you get pissed off, you feel like you got fucked over, then you call me, but then you don't want to pay. You don't want to pay for it, but you still need somebody to talk to. Okay. And that's part of a lot of insurance. You're actually, you're like the psychiatrist. You listen to them and all, and then you blah blah blah. But anyway, so you've got that. You're up against those disruptors. You're up against what people can go online and get there and do the same thing. And then we're also in competition with the carrier themselves. They don't like to talk about it, but we're also in competition with them. So that's what makes it rough being in insurance. So the best thing that I could have done for myself personally, by happenstance, is get into the gig economy. And as I've evolved in the gig economy, I've evolved into the delivery and transport space. And when I was around a bunch of insurance agents, in fact, this past September, while they were talking their stories of being talked off the ledge, I'm like, man, shit, I'm doing pretty good right now. I was.
And that's kind of, I didn't even know the exacts on all that, but you kind of just hit on all what I was going to say. Like I worked in the bars for 20 years. I worked doing for a penny press company. There's like you're at zoos and stuff, and you can pick between 4 different things and it'll press a penny. I did marketing and strategy, and I did trade shows for them. And, working in the bars and the gig apps and working production gigs and the things you just named. We are not two people that come from the norm, even though we probably both had a handful. We didn't come from the norm W-2 world.
No. In fact, I didn't throw in there. I also wrote books. I was involved in publishing. For about 5 or 6 years. And I have had books that appeared on the shelves of the bookstores. And I can go into and tell you that if you're typically the books that you see on
what's a book?
Oh, that shit. Okay. Well, for
You
those
know,
of you,
people back in the old days, there was like these,
yeah, those things
they were
that about
bound, they
yay
had
thick or
words in
this
them.
thick. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they're coming back, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, a lot of the folk whom I got in with about 15, almost 20 years ago, most of us are no longer involved in it. They've gone on to do something else. But that was an extension of me being me being a report because it involved writing.
Yeah.
So I kind of rediscovered myself for a while. But what I was going to say was, when you see those books on the shelves, typically, though many of those books that you see on the shelves are from big publishing houses. And so imagine books by Inwood Lane being on the shelf, and those books are all done by me from thought to final product on the shelves. That is no small accomplishment. I promise you, it's no small accomplishment because it's a different process to get those books on the shelves. But I was able to do that, and also have books that made the book clubs. In fact, in my kitchen, I've got well, the big deal is if you can ever have hardbound book, hardcover book.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, because there's more money involved. Well, I've got some books that made those hard covers as well. But again, it's not easy process. And to come back to with our space delivery and transport, while I've talked about the numbers, kind of hinted at the numbers that I've done over the last year and then over recent years, shit ain't easy, y'all. It ain't what you think it is.
No.
You just can't come in.
That's why this being the last mile, you know, that's I don't do it on a weekly basis, and you're on a lot of them. So I mean, that's why I'm trying to bring around to people, and there's nothing wrong with it. But you and I have a lot of background of selling ourselves, and we're not just showing up at a W-2 often. We're selling ourselves. We're always trying to get a little more for our value. You know, not that everybody else isn't as well. I'm just saying, I'm trying to get that vibe out there to people. Like, dude, take chances. You know, when I get a curry offer through the AI, or it comes in the app and it says 1995, and I'm like, nope. I at least open it, because if you open it, the company knows you viewed it. If you viewed it, there's a chance they're going to AI text you and they'll say the same amount. Hey, can you take this order for 1995? People didn't even know till I told them that, you know, they were like saying no and just shutting it down. I was like, dude, counter it. You know, it's not a yes, no question. They're saying, can you do this? Yeah, it sounds like no, but
I actually did that today.
The last one I just had it the other day was 1995. They will never ever do your number exact, but I've seen them go just $1 under it. But they were like, can you do this for 1995? Now, I had just seen it in the app. I said, I can do it for, what was it? 60. And they were like, how about 57? So 1995 went up to 57 in 20 seconds.
That's reasonable. Well, yeah, that same son of a bitch that came to me with something today.
People do this stuff.
They said 345. I said 400. And they said 363. I said 400. So then they said, well, we'll get back with you. So they said, well, can you do 345? I said 400. Well, I can read exactly what they said. So thanks. I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm okay with that.
Yes, because it's better that they know that about you. You don't want to be bothered by them on the ones because they know their number.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had said $1,000, they're not going to say 997 just to be lower, but still come to my call. Like there's a number they'll cut it off at. I play big, because most of the time those will come back. Even if I do play, like if I were to have said $100 and they came back and said 47.50 is all we can do, I would actually know that's probably all they can do.
I don't believe it, but you know,
I mean, maybe I don't know. That's when I relook at it again and go, and I either say no or yes. I mean, that's the cool thing though. But guys, like, I don't know if you know that. Rebid, do these things. Like, look, let's do more apps, get on other things. DoorDash cannot. I mean, Endorphin Factory lives in Salt Lake City, right? Just driving across the valley with a $19 Pee-wee DoorDash order. Actually, $19 with DoorDash. I don't know how far you're going, but that's pretty good for a DoorDash order.
Here, you know what? But even back during the publishing days, we all talked about knowing your worth.
Yes.
When you see the books for what you see them for, um, you've got some folk who just put it out there dirt fucking cheap just to get it out there. But then what we were talking about, many of us were talking about, well, we know what time and effort put into this. We're not going to sell ourselves short. And so we may not have put the book out for 1995, but 14.95 is kind of a standard number for the 5.5 by 8.5 books that you see out there on the shelves. And then, like with the ebooks, there are people putting them out there for 99 cents. No, I put
No,
mine for $4.99. I put mine for $4.99, $5.99.
yeah.
And if they bought it, they bought it. They didn't. They didn't. But guess what? If you were this big time person, this known person, you're going to pay whatever the price is that they put out there. So why not deal with me the same way? That's what I'm thinking.
Right. And why should you have to put it for 99 cents? That's
Right.
that's a cup of coffee costs more than that.
Well, especially now. I mean, we're talking 2000. We're talking 2008, 2009, between 2008 and 2013. So yeah,
even then,
now.
probably a Starbucks costs more than that at least.
Yeah.
But right. I guess my point is, I just really want people to hear, and it's not the sky is falling and all the gig apps are going. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we always talk about this here, and I just want to mention, like, be open to other things, like really stretch yourself out there. I don't know. Yeah. I'm always looking. I'm always thinking. I'm always.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to if you want to stay in business. In fact, it's a part of your your personal evolution, if you will, that you're constantly trying to look beyond what's in front of you. Yeah. And you have to be attuned to what's going on. You have to be attuned to what's going on. You can't be a one-trick pony. Yes, there are folk who say that they specialize in things, but how many businesses are out there where you just specialize in one thing? Everybody eventually is going to diversify. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to diversify in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I even mean with the gig apps, because I guess here's a good way. Here's something maybe that helps put this in perspective, is that if you're using these gig apps and you find yourself, you know how to work them, you're working them, and you're like, I guess I'll take that. That's okay with me for like the first 10 offers. And again, it's not my place. I'm just telling you how I feel. That's okay with me for like the first 10 offers. Okay, I'll take that. You're learning it. After that, no, you should be not doing anything that seems like, dude, that seems low. Don't do it. Do not do it.
Your experience should tell you that. Your experience should tell you, you just don't do anything and everything. But you know what? I do understand that some people are going to do what they feel they just got to do.
Of course.
Unfortunately.
Of course. And each market, we always say, rural city in Nebraska of 400 people, you might have to do just DoorDash. It might be the only app there that might make more than all the people who work in the 4 businesses.
Right.
I don't know. Right. So yeah, I'm trying to light that fire of, like me, I now have when I do a live stream and I'm in my car sometimes, I don't do a lot of them, but when I do, I won't turn my car I don't even turn my car on until there's something $7. I don't care if it's going a half mile, man. If it's not $7, I'm not even turning it on.
It's funny you would say that. Just for what it's worth, Uber Eats. I know that. See, I'm not in a major metropolitan market. In fact, this is how I ended up doing the gig user channel, because I saw all these people bragging about what they were making. And I figured that I can make the same type of money that they're making in these big markets in the market that I'm in. Right. The markets that are the big markets near me are Charlotte and actually Greenville, Spartanburg. That's a bigger TV market than where I'm at. And then there's Atlanta. The other big cities, if you will, are like Raleigh, Durham. But most immediate is Charlotte, and Atlanta. And I
Wait,
was
you
pretty much,
didn't name any cities in South Carolina that you're in.
oh no, Greenville Spartanburg. The Greenville
Oh, okay, okay,
Spartanburg,
okay, okay,
Greenville
hey, okay,
Spartanburg Asheville is actually
okay.
it's like a top 75 market. Columbia
Okay.
market is barely in the 100s.
Really?
So yeah, you wouldn't think that. I mean, Columbia is the capital of the state. Okay, you would
Right. I
think
thought
that
it was,
that would
and it's
be
a big city too, right?
yeah, but not according to the TV markets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Greenville, Spartanburg, Asheville. They count Asheville as well in that market, and that's a much bigger market than Columbia. Yes,
Which Asheville's North Carolina too, right?
right, right. Yeah. But what I was going to do was pull up these fucking numbers. I can tell you what I did on the app. Um, and they do this shit now.
Well, I
You can't
wanted
even
to
go. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you this too. Have you heard the term hood Uber? Do you know about this?
No, no, you gotta help me out.
So hood Uber is here's what's going on now. Just like everything, if you want to find like, remember how when everybody would talk about the dark web, like, oh dude, don't go on those
Yeah,
browsers to get into the dark web. You know what the darkest web is? Facebook Marketplace.
yeah, okay,
It really is. It's really crazy. Like that's where you get fake accounts and this, that, the other. That's where Hood Uber has started. And there
okay.
was just last weekend, there was a shooting of a driver in San Antonio who was doing
Mhm.
Hood Uber. It's not a legal thing. It
You
is
mean where
people,
they actually like doing rides through Facebook and all?
yes.
Oh, that
People
shit's
are
been
like,
going on forever.
I know, but here's my thing. Like, I don't know if you know Jeff, Mike Drop Barbecue.
Yeah, yeah, he does that. He talks about having your library, having a library thing, and it's yeah. If you have
And
your
getting your own
library,
clients, like
right?
just basically like, dude, always be like, if you take an Uber passenger, I know Jeff well, and if he's like, hey, listen, if you take a passenger on Uber, the reason basically these days he's pretty clear. The reason I
Hmm.
use the apps is to get clients, because if I take an Uber and it's not paying well, which they don't, he goes, and I don't like
Right,
the passenger, sweet, I don't ever have to see them again. But if we get along, if we're cool, I'm gonna hit them up and tell them, hey, I do private rides too. And most of the time I land these people as clients. And so
right,
he's using it straight to do that. I would call that the best thing ever to do. Like, why would you go on Facebook and just go, I need a ride here? Okay, I'll pick you up.
right. Yeah, but again, I've seen that. I saw that shit
I
10 years
know, but
ago.
now it has the term and it's getting tons of news because people have been
Okay,
getting killed, and now the
okay.
violence is entering it.
Right. Now, you're talking about Uber Eats. I'm looking at the last three orders that I did on Uber Eats. One
Yeah.
for 1346. It was for pizza.
How
2509.
how
Shop and
far?
pay. Um, how far was the pizza order?
How many miles? Yeah.
6.
Okay. Yeah.
Shop and pay. 15 miles, 2509. It was out in the middle of nowhere, but I took it because I was out that way. So it's not like, but
That's
and
one of the
then
cool things about Uber Eats, I will say. You can just leave it on wherever you are. Like,
And then there
get
was a
a fix.
McDonald's for 1326 and 5 miles.
Right.
Now the way Uber Eats does this, it's not really from pick up. It's not from where you pick up from the store to the drop off that they count those miles. It's actually when you pick where you accept the order, and then the miles are actually from where you accept the order, pick up, and then drop off.
Right.
So those are the total miles involved. And those are my last three Uber Eat orders. If I go back the day before, um, wait a minute.
Geezer, I did 60 Uber Eats in
Uh-huh.
7 days this year.
Oh shit, man. Well,
Right.
I
No,
can't say
it
that.
was for the bonus. Every 10 I did
Okay.
was an extra $120.
No, I don't do that. I don't play that. I don't play their games
I
for
don't play
that,
that
man.
either, but the minute it stopped, I stopped
Mhm.
using the app.
Okay. Oh, you know what it was? I had similar numbers. So the day before, I had another. Oh, this was a stacked Uber Eats. It was 8 miles. It was two orders. It paid 25.05.
Mhm.
10.05 for 3.8 miles. And then 15.17 for 13 miles. I think, okay, that was when I just said, fuck it, I'll do it. But I think I was in the area. But 15.17, it was a shop to pay for some hair products. And so I got 15.17.
So I know that some of those might be when you're out and you're doing a B2B and then you're done and you
Mhm,
turn it on. But in your area where you live, like I don't
mhm,
know what it's like. I can speak for Denver, which people
mhm.
sometimes get thrown by like, no way. We have the transparency laws now, but I see they're not always good orders at all, guys, but I see 4 times the volume on Uber Eats than DoorDash. There are
Well,
some cities that see more Uber Eats. It's just how it is. This is one of them.
DoorDash, DoorDash, like I said, I am proud to say that I got a zero. Well, maybe because I accepted one order, I'm down to like 1%. I'm up to 1%. Let's see here where it says ratings. Yes, I have a 1% acceptance rate. My completion rate is 97. On time is 90. And I have, according to the app, 999 lifetime deliveries, and that's since 2019. So anyway.
Yeah, but okay, real quick, if you were to turn on Uber Eats and DoorDash, and let's say that
Mhm,
you had 30%, I don't acceptance rate doesn't matter, but that's
mhm.
just my opinion. I have a whole thing on it, but
I'm with you on that.
if you were to turn on both, do you
Mhm.
see more Uber Eats orders even if they're worse as a driver?
I think I see about the same.
Okay.
It's just that I've accepted more Uber Eats orders than I have DoorDash. I mean, for whatever's worth on Uber Eats, I got a 2% acceptance rate. So that should tell you
Right.
something.
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard this. This was the last thing I wanted to kind of talk about if we could. Is this I don't know if you saw this thing about like we know about Uber or DoorDash stealing tips. We from all these different years, we know about all this stuff they've done. Have you heard about? Do you know what they're doing in New York City right now? Are you aware
No, you're
about
gonna have to fill.
okay, so basically, there's this and what I'm actually going to read comes right from the DoorDash page because I've read all the news surrounding it. But I'm surprised
Mhm.
DoorDash even had the gall to put this on their own website. You
Okay.
know, they do I mean, so that way nobody can question this stuff because even how it reads, you guys are going to hear some things that as dashers probably you're not going to like if you haven't heard this yet. But um so what they're talking about is New York City did a study. I want to make sure that it's even in here though, but because I'm sure they left out parts of it. Basically, the study showed that over the last 2 years since New York City has made the minimum active time minimum wage, right?
Hmm.
So if you're on the app for 10 hours and you're active for 8, you will be paid whatever that minimum wage of 23.41
Right.
is.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
But they're saying so DoorDash changed the app only in New York for this, and they're saying that the city's saying that DoorDash stole $550 million from drivers in tips since
What?
that went into effect. Now, from 2017 to 2019, they did it in every market they were in. They're slowly being sued for all of those, if not already done. From 2020, from 20, whatever it was, 2019 to 20 or 2020 to 2022. Now 23 to current is what they're talking about here. This is another, those are all the times they just admitted they did steal tips. It was a whole thing, but here's how it breaks down before I get to how they're talking about it. But what they did was they admit to it. This is almost like their case is they keep saying that you can still tip. We just like most places you go, move that you have to tip after you get the food delivered. Their defense is no, we're still the tip is still there. It's just there where it should be. Really? Because
Hmm.
this is an upfront game, guys. We all
Hmm.
know this. You took it out to screw the drivers. Most people get their food, they don't reopen the app. They're not going to tip you. We know this. And that's what
Hmm.
they're saying. They said that. So what they did was they measured the last 2 years of tips of tips in New York City. And they said that the average tip went from like 234 or whatever to like 67 cents. So they did that and said with the amount of active drivers, they did all the math and they said you stole $550 million just by doing this. Now DoorDash is saying this is their report, and it's debunking the false claims out of New York City. New York Department of Consumer and Worker Protections issued a report claiming DoorDash is tricking consumers to reduce tips. The report gets a lot wrong. Here are the facts. DoorDash is hiding the option to tip. Fact: consumers can tip after delivery. Just not during the ordering process. Moving tipping into to after checkout isn't novel or nefarious. It's how tipping works in most areas of life. Apps could choose to reduce consumers' cost through changes of user interface. It goes through this stuff. And then it says myth 2, lower tips equal lower earnings. Fact, workers earned 1.2 billion more under the new rule. And then they have this way of breaking this down. And New York City did real reports, and they said, no, nobody's up in earnings.
DoorDash with their funny ass fucking math.
But this
That's
is
all
on
that
their
is.
website.
Okay, and that's their propaganda. But I remember, what was it, 2022? You know, remember when gas prices spiked the way they did after the shutdowns, and they were talking about supplementing our pay because of the gas prices spike. And it took me a while to figure out how they were coming up with the numbers, but there was some funny ass math. I can tell you that it was funny math.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked.
No, and then it says, and I can't remember what it stands for, but it's whatever is dealing with this in New York. It's the DCWP. Myth 3, DCWP is blowing the whistle on a hidden scheme. Fact, DoorDash announced the changes publicly in 2023. You can't blow the whistle on something that was announced, is what it says. I feel like they're getting awfully lippy here. Like,
Right.
if I'm running across this as a customer, as an investor, as a restaurant partner, I'm not going to be this is not going to impress me as professionalism.
No.
And then myth 4, new tipping law gives consumers user-friendly options. Myth 4, new tipping law gives consumer user-friendly options. Fact, it discourages consumers from considering the quality of the service when deciding if and how much to tip. That's their argument. Like, no, now they'll base it on how good you did. Now we're getting back to something you said about timing. You might get somewhere it's not ready. That's not on you, but they're going to make it on you. And that's if they even go to tip. You know, like most likely they're not even going to go to tip, but if they do, it's going to be like, well, he was late. That might not be on you. Like that's why it needs to be an upfront game. And I come from the bar industry. I know that that's weird to me too, but it does.
Yeah.
It's like a bid on service.
That's
And DoorDash is just here's the last thing. The bottom line. This is what kills me. This is how it ends. And I will share the link in this, by the way, guys, right to DoorDash's website. Consumers can tip after delivery. Dashers always keep 100% of tips placed on DoorDash, and the tipping option still exists in New York City. DoorDash has been caught 50 times stealing tips. For 18 to 24 month periods. Are you kidding me? You're putting this on your website.
The average is what?
You mean if always means never, then that's true.
So they're talking about drivers on average, according to New York City, get 67-cent tip. So drivers can keep 100% of 67 cents. Is that what DoorDash is saying?
Yeah. Well, no,
Oh,
but they're even saying it worse. Consumers can tip after delivery. Dashers always keep 100%
But
of
that's
tips
yeah.
placed.
So they get 100% of whatever. I mean, so back in the day, like on Postmates and some other trick apps, you'd see 3 cent tips. So we get to keep 100% of 3 cent. That's what they're saying. I mean, yeah, man. The at least you've heard of ship it.
Shame on you, DoorDash. And I'm serious. Shame on you. And
Ship it at least admits that the customers are not encouraged. They're not encouraged to tip. They don't encourage the customer. They really don't tell the customers that you can tip. I don't know if you know that. The Ship It app. They're run by Tarjay.
yeah,
Uh, uh,
I'm disgusted. I read all the news articles and I feel like this one's the worst one on them. And I'm like, wait, where'd this come from? Like I was reading it again because I had a bunch of tabs open. I'm like, where'd this one come from? And then I get to the top and it's about DoorDash.com. And I see their logo. I'm like, wait, this is your article on it? You guys sound like
yeah,
assholes, man.
yeah. Hey, look, man. We're just look. We're just doing what we're doing. Yes, we're fucking people out of their money. It's just that we just know how to do it a little slicker than others. That's all. And we still,
I mean, I don't know. The wording of it is really
mhm.
offensive to me.
Yes, it is. It's. I would say it's barely legal what they're doing. Barely legal. But in today's political landscape, I mean, who's really gonna who are they really gonna make an example out of DoorDash in today's political landscape? No, they're doing this with impunity.
I'm sharing it right here into the chat. So there it is, you guys. That's the DoorDash story. You guys can also find it everywhere in the news right now. Everywhere in the news, you can find this story. But
Now,
it's funny to I recommend you go read DoorDash's, the one I just posted. I think it's the worst.
now here's where if media really were to do its job, they could really plaster their asses against the wall. But media won't do that because they're too fucking lazy. And yes, you would say that they're kind of like in bed with some of these places because really they kind of carry themselves like a cheap streetwalker in that if they kind of in order for them to get a couple more bones thrown to them at some point, they kind of stroke their back and don't offend them completely so that they can still get a couple more bones thrown to them down the road. That's what it amounts to. Back in my day, back when I hate to say it, when 60 Minutes was really 60 Minutes, oh, DoorDash would not want to see those guys. They would not because 60 Minutes would come in with it'd be like a prosecutor.
You're talking about when like real reporting though.
Yes.
Like
So
when they didn't care which company or who your CEO was.
no. They saw 60 Minutes. They were running out the door.
Yeah. I would be surprised if DoorDash went on 60 Minutes.
Oh no! Don't even worry about that. That ain't gonna happen now.
No, I mean back in the day, in that kind of setting. I don't know.
Back then,
it wouldn't have served any purpose to them, really.
They probably would have thought, hey, that they arrived by being interviewed by 60 Minutes, but when the questions start coming, it would be a bad day for them, and then that'd be the last time they appear on 60 Minutes. They would say that they got burned by 60 Minutes, when in fact, no, they just got caught in their lies on 60 Minutes. That's what would have happened back in the day.
You guys, if you Google DoorDash New York City, that's all you have to do, or DoorDash NYC, and the first page of news that comes up, if you go to News tab on Google, you're going to see all the stories. There was a great one in the Gothamist that is really well written. I mean, they dog them. They're the ones that had all the hard facts. Here's what the tips were. Here's this. But here's the bottom line. Even in there, they wrote, what I don't get is you didn't you didn't move the tip. You didn't decide, hey, let's move the tip to after the service on the platform. You did it in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
You did it in one place that you got pissed off. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, we got to do this law that really isn't even hurting them anyone. 23.41, that's floor meets ceiling. You take the high earners, they take the low earners, they bring them to the middle ground, they make 21.34 on active hours, and that's it. You made that's what happens when you get those kind of numbers. But so you made that happen, and then you say, you know what, let's move the tip out. Like, you can't even be a customer and look for it. It's not there. Won't show up till after. And we all know, if you've ever, I know a lot of people might not have even, but if you've ever used the apps, the flow screens just get, it's called drip pricing is how it's referred. So that every screen you're like, what? It's like sticker shock every screen. You know, like, whoa, why is it going up so much? And like, so what they're thinking is get it done before the tip, and don't even have a thing that says, do you want a tip? Just take it out.
So they really employ a good bit of psychology in all this. They understand the psychological part of all this, and they're like, if they can get you to tune out beforehand, then you're not inclined, because DoorDash gets its money, and well, the drivers, who cares?
But here's the messed up part too. What do you think about the fact that if they do this, so I order the food. I'm a tipper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a good tipper,
Mm-hmm.
and I like good service, and I had good service. I ate with my
Mm-hmm.
family. I was sticker shocked. Damn, that's a lot of money. Can't believe I'm going to spend that. I go there all the time. If I just went and picked it up, it'd be half price. Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
And I order it anyway. With the tipping up front, it's like I said, a bid for service. But if I close that app, eat dinner with my family, I'm a good person, and I'm gonna tip, but I have a feeling a lot of people like me who would tip might not tip. They might just go, dude, I got ripped off on that, man.
They're probably counting on that. DoorDash is.
Right. But but like, I guess their thought is, we don't care if you do reopen the app and you go, you know what, I do want to tip. But the point is the 61 cents kind of shows, I think, that even good people go, you know what? I know I need to, but that was so much money. I just got to stop using the app. They'll probably use it again, but that's what they're saying. And it's going to become a bad habit.
Right.
And you're just going to stop tipping.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, but is this just like a tool that DoorDash uses now in each city? If you do this to us, you're going to see what we do to you. You're going to make less. We will make sure of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's kind of a form of retaliation, is it not?
It's 100% retaliate. It's almost, I don't know I can't remember what you like, when you're bullying a stock though.
Okay.
You know, when you're putting a threat behind a stock, you know, it's called something, and it could involve a lot of 3-letter agencies, which are already looking into these companies. You know, I don't know. To me, it's just insanity. It's, how do you explain to somebody from any 3-letter agency, FTC, let's say, how do you explain to them, hey, when he says, hey, why'd you take it out of New York City, but nowhere else in the code? Anyway.
See, here's the thing, man. This is where I'm leery of that, given today's political climate.
Yeah.
DoorDash, all they have to do is make that donation, and then the word comes down, leave them alone.
Yeah. Well, this year will be tough, because there's a lot. We all know, you and I both know, the political stuff is all based on money. And for years, DoorDash has had so much, there's no way to fight it. Now the other side's getting to be, these restaurant partners. Like here in Boulder, Big Red F, the biggest restaurant group in Boulder, Colorado, left the apps, left them all. And Boulder's a weird banana republic town. It's about 300,000 for the Boulder County. And when they don't want something, like they don't have a Walmart, they decided no Walmart here. Like they decide things and things happen. That's just how it is. Big Red F is known. They said that their food cost was up 29% from using the apps across the boards for all of their restaurants. So Dave Query, the owner, I know him. I worked at one of his places. He said that well, we're not going to use the food apps anymore. And they've now started their own thing where they're bringing other restaurants in too, not like the McDonald's or the Denny's or things like that, but they're getting all the known restaurants. And here's the kicker. Uber Eats and Grubhub aren't in the mix, but DoorDash is doing all of the delivery for free for them in Boulder because you can order through the DoorDash app, but it takes you to their websites. It removes you from the app, takes you to the website and says order here. So, and I saw on one of his sites, one of the restaurants, Centro, I saw on the homepage, it said, now you can use DoorDash and pay the price that the menu item is.
Okay.
It says it on the homepage. He's basically saying, you guys were paying service fee, processing fee, this delivery,
Right.
but you don't even recognize you were paying 30% more on the item.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're sending you can't pay for it through DoorDash. You have to do it through each restaurant, but he's made it very easy.
Right.
And other restaurants, like it started with his, then 4 more. They're up to like 19 restaurants in Boulder now that are doing this. And DoorDash has to work for free. And the drivers, get this, the drivers get $5 for any delivery, period, $1 or $1,000. And people tip and directly get deposits for $5 plus the tip from Big Red F. They're not. They'll have their DoorDash payment for McDonald's delivery type things, and now they're going to have a Big Red F payment too, because Big Red F emails them receipts. Here's what the customer tipped. Here, they're transparent. They're taking DoorDash as non-transparent and making it transparent.
Right. Well, if it's a better way of doing business, then I'm pretty sure people don't have a problem with that.
I'm just saying DoorDash didn't say, you know what? No, we're not going to let our drivers just people use the app and we don't, because they don't get a dime out of it. That was the deal.
Well, they want still the visibility.
I know. But you know what?
Visibility.
Listen up, other cities. I'm just saying, listen up, because all he did was tell DoorDash how it's going to be. And DoorDash said, okay. So listen up, other cities, because they're not the only ones. Every city, every restaurant partner is losing money. Not the customer's been getting ripped off for a few years, and they know it for the last year or two, big time. Drivers have always been ripped off. Now the restaurant partners are getting to the point of, I don't know if we want to use you anymore. You know, yes, you do the volume for us, but we're hurting. You're hurting us bad.
Right. Well, it's funny how, at least, you know, they were saying just 5 years ago, crazy how just 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago, they were saying how DoorDash kept them in business because they kept them in business. But I guess they come to the realization, they did for a moment, but it was also costing him at the same time. You know, now the tables are turning. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's good that the tables are turning.
Because the idea that I had heard floated is, and this is happening other places too, let's start our own app, some restaurant companies. Okay, that makes sense too. But he did something different. You know what? I don't want to find a bunch of drivers. There's a bunch on DoorDash who don't have any work. Let's give them our work. We'll pay them directly. We'll let them see the pay difference. They'll go, why on all these orders that we get paid from Big Red F2, we seem to get like 3 times, and Boulder's a city where everybody tips. So if there's any tip theft, you're going to notice it. Why am I getting no tips on DoorDash? But I get tips from the DoorDash app when I get paid from Big Red F. Huh. And I get receipts from them too. I don't know. I just love it. I love a good idea. I love the idea of saying, you know what, we're going to take you on DoorDash, and DoorDash's normal response, oh, fine, go start your own app. No, you're going to do the work for free for us. I would have loved to embed in that meeting, is what I'm saying.
Hey, again,
when they were told you won't make a penny, but you can put you can put a link to our restaurant on your app. That's it.
Again, obviously they're at least they're calculating. Okay, we still get the visibility, but I guess
Yeah.
they're also gambling that not everybody else is going to catch on. They must be gambling that that's what's going to happen.
I mean, you get success there. And like, I worked for Dave and Beaver, his
Right.
partner. Like, I was a bartender at the West End Tavern, one of their places in Boulder. And I
Hmm.
can tell you, they know other restaurant groups in other towns.
Okay.
If things
So
work, they will definitely be on the phone.
it could be too that they could be fucking with the wrong people.
Yeah.
DoorDash is,
Yeah.
and it could backfire. That gamble could backfire,
Big
and it
time.
does. It does lead to something much bigger, where it could
Mhm.
maybe not immediately, but it could put a big hurt in their bottom line. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because the only thing they got out of it is that Uber Eats and Grubhub won't be able to take orders from those places. But
Hmm.
DoorDash has to do all of them for free.
Right.
And the way that it's like anybody would normally say, how do you know though? They're going to steal a dollar here or there. And no, because the payment's being made through Big Red F.
Right. It's not through their
Everything, the
portal.
only thing that's being done is it's being driven by a DoorDash driver, and it's being the link is coming from DoorDash to get you to the website. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
don't know. I kind of love it. I really hope this, like, again, you had a really good year, but a lot of people, I even had a tough year. Last year was a tough year, man. But I feel like grinding it out. I want to see some change.
Mm.
And I want to see people like watching and stuff that are watching now tonight and or on the replay. I want to see them grow, and wait in any
Yeah.
way they want to, but like DoorDash alone, the DoorDash app alone is not going to feed you forever.
No. And I
Whatever
said that.
your situation is, even right. And again, we've
I've
talked about
said it
this
for
many times,
years.
but we
Years I've
can't
said
stop
this.
saying it because it keeps getting closer and closer. And
Right.
and you might have been 30 when you started and single. Now you're going to get married, then you're going to have a kid, or maybe you don't do any of that. But even as you get older, you want to move up a little, and you're going to notice the pay's down. You got to start adding in things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, it's simple business. I mean, you got to diversify. And in business, it's also too where you're investing in yourself. That's what you're doing. You're investing in
Yes.
yourself. And if you do things if you do things as what you think you can do, or you do things quote the right way, you will see a return on your investment.
Yeah.
Um, you know what? Maybe in some ways I've had my head in the sand about other people's situation, but then again, I'm not surprised. I'm not
No.
surprised.
But the
And
other thing too is that a lot of people are coming on, even though now it's not the same problem. It's not an illegal problem, and then we're not even going to go there. But that's not the problem. It's people losing their jobs and coming onto the platform,
right, right.
which
That's
is
the
a whole
thing.
new animal.
But that there's always been that subset all along. And this is where I've told folk, they're quick to blame it on the so-called the immigrant and all. I said, look, it's not just them that's doing this shit. Okay. You're talking
Oh
about
no,
them.
even the
It,
illegal accounts, people were getting deactivated and just going and buying one off Facebook
right. But what I'm saying is
that
that
are here. Yeah.
it's people like you and I
Yeah.
who are doing the same stupid dumb shit. It's
Hmm.
not just
It's not
and
limited to anybody.
right.
Stupidity goes across the.
Right. That's what I'm getting at. So that's the other part. That's the other part. It's just that people are not willing to admit that. It's easy to blame it on that subset of people. And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate. That's just easy. That's what I call low-hanging fruit. That's the easy people to pick on. No,
Yeah.
what about yourself? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And you got some folk who are they're okay with that for whatever reason. But you're right. Um, the big influx in 2020, 2021 was when the businesses were shutting down. People ran to the gig apps, seeing
Especially food.
right.
Rideshare died overnight, but
Right.
Food
They
and grocery
saw,
blew up. Yeah.
right. And many of them got spoiled by
Big time.
that. Yeah, they got spoiled by that. And some of them thought, well, fuck their job and all that. So, and then of course, yeah, that's another, we've talked about that. We understand.
Hmm.
For those of you who have been regular listeners of Steve's podcast and his content, this is a common conversation, but I guess we're bringing it up again. But yes,
Got to. We got to.
but with the uncertainty of things now, yes, people are going to be looking to this type of this line of money making, thinking that this is easy, quick money that they can make, and they're likely to do whatever they think they can do. Number one. But number two, they're likely to do stuff out of pure ignorance. Number two or number three, that's it's just another cycle of headaches. But if you treat this seriously, somehow you have to play chess and not checkers.
Oh yeah.
And that's where I talk about where you have to be thinking 10, 12 moves ahead. If you're not doing that, then again, another example I talk about with bowling. If you're not trying to stay ahead of the transition is going to eat you alive. You get the game 5 and 6, you were shooting 210, 220, 240. Now all of a sudden you hit that transition, you hit $150, $160, you've lost almost 100 pins.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. I promise you, it's not good.
Yeah.
And this is the transition, that's the transition that I talk about. So what's your answer to that transition? Do you move on the lanes? Do you get a new ball? Do you change ball speed? You probably have to do all that. You probably have to do all that in order to try to get those pins back or to stop the hemorrhaging, one or the other. You just can't use the same ball and play the same shot. You can't.
Yeah. No, you can't. And I was waiting for you to say thirsty too, because part of what I was going to say is, what's your one piece of advice to the veterans or even the newbies or whatever about, I know mine, but about like how you use the term thirsty, like what do they do when they see people grabbing things where they're like, dude, why would you take that? Do I have to take that?
No, you don't. You don't. But I also understand too that there's another strategy behind that sometimes. Okay. What happens is that some folk they'll have money already earned. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have money already earned, and so they'll look to the other thing to try to run up their number to make up for what they may have missed with this one big piece that they got in their hand. So I see why they'll do that. But when you do everything the same, that's thirsty.
Yeah.
Now I haven't talked thirsty in a while because I'm trying to understand. Why some people do certain things. Okay. There's another strategy behind things that someone has tried to hit me to, and I'm starting to see what they're saying. Like in a video that I have coming out yesterday, I had money earned on a brokered load board based opportunity. So I'm looking at this other opportunity, and I put in for good money. I then find out that somebody had come in under me, tried to cut my legs from up under me, so I cut their legs. I said, fuck you. Okay, I'm gonna cut your fucking legs. And fuck yourself now. Okay. But in the process, what I ended up doing was end up making the money that I should have made. In total, I ended up making the money that I probably should have made anyway. But I had this base to do that. I had some room to work with. That's what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do that if I didn't have that room to work with. I'd still be trying to play this one for as much money as I can get. So there's this give and take. But not everybody's going to do that. What they're going to do is probably grab whatever they can, thinking that they're doing something. And in running a business, you cannot survive in the long run on those playing those thin margins. You just cannot.
No.
You cannot survive on the thin margin, because when something goes wrong, you're not going to be able to take care of what you need to. I mean, like I shared last month, I think it was, when I had that heating core and I had spark plugs put in the Geezer 16. That was $875 that I handed a debit card to pay for that day.
Yeah.
I could not do that if I were operating on short margins.
No. And that's, I mean, everybody needs to remember, look, I mean, in some states, people fight for this. And I always tell you, don't. But, I mean, we haven't seen a full blown, but like, quit acting like the employee. Because even if, like, if your attitude before was, I don't mind playing like the employee, I make enough money, I got this thing down. Well, now it's too hard to do that. And these are all these offering opportunities. It's great that we have them. There are all these offering opportunities out there. But everybody, and I mean everybody, needs to remember you are an independent contractor and it means something. You need to understand this. It means something. It means you have left the W-2 world. You have left some of those perks. You have other perks. There are things changed now in your life. These are offers. Don't play the metrics. You don't need 90%. You don't. And again, my opinion, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm giving you what I think is very sound advice. Work the apps and teach the algorithms what you do.
Right.
I see less offers on DoorDash, but like a decent amount less. They're saving data. Data costs are way up. But they know, don't send Steve that. He doesn't do that.
I've said that for years too, man. These, they play off of your tendencies. They're trying to force tendencies on you, but if you don't play to their tendencies, then they can only send what you're like. This is the whole thing about artificial intelligence. It gathers the information that you're sending them. The machine learning part
for
of it,
each person too. It's got you down. It's got you down, me down, all of us down.
And then the machine learning part is trying to predict what you're going to do. It gathers the information. Then the mathematical part is to predict what you're going to do. And the way you fuck with them, I know I'm bad with my words and all that stuff, but the way you fuck with them is that you don't take their shit, or you may throw them off and take it sometimes. But you're trying. You can play the mind games too. It's just a matter of you try to make it work to your advantage.
Yeah.
Or make it make sense. At a very minimum, forcing it to make sense to you.
Right.
Otherwise, it's going to eat you. I mean, otherwise, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I say it all the time. Some people email me and say, you pull numbers that I'm not pulling. Where are you from? Lincoln, Nebraska. Well, at the end of a month, you have more money than me because your cost of living is 1/3 of mine. So everything's different, guys. But honestly, again, just my opinion. I believe it's geezers too, and I believe it's most of the people who are in the know. Don't play the metrics. Don't. Even if you believe in them, even if you think, hey, I'll see a better offer if I still don't play them. You are telling the algorithm that you are a pawn. I hate to say it that way, but you are.
Well, yeah, you are just another blip on the algorithm. But here's the thing, too. You get so caught up in those damn metrics. Those metrics can't get you a car loan. Those metrics can't get you a credit card. Those metrics can't do shit for you.
They can't pay your rent.
No, can't do a fucking thing. You got 100%. You got 100% this, 100% that, and it don't mean shit when you go to the store. It don't mean a fucking thing, man.
Yeah. And I mean, even if somebody were to go, I know of one or two, I know of 3 or 4 too that out there where the metrics do play a thing, but what you have to do, but they're not the ones anybody of you are thinking. They're not Uber, they're not DoorDash, they're not even Curry or any of the one but there are some that do it. Okay, whatever. But I'm saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Turn on apps that you like to do. Turn on apps that work in your market. Don't like an app because, this one's my favorite to work. Is it because it earns you the most? No, then it shouldn't be your favorite. Who cares what it looks like? You should know your market. You should be playing with all the apps and find out which ones work. and
So
take
here's some
what.
guys. So Yapu says metrics of folk with finance vehicles. So I'm asking him, what do you mean? Explain yourself, because the that I mean,
Metrics
dude,
are for people who with
with,
finance. Yeah, I don't get that either.
because I'm just going to give you a good example, and this is the Sprinter van that I got. Yes, it should have been paid off, but I am still paying on it. I'm more than halfway through paying on it. I got it with not playing the fucking metrics game. I
Right.
got it. I got it because I worked what I've done as a business. The van is in
I'm
my.
wondering if a little language barrier happened there at all, and just a guess. I'm just wondering if he's on like some kind of Uber rideshare program where you have to do 70 rides or
Okay,
120 a week.
if you're talking
I
that
don't
way,
know.
hey Trey, Trey is Trey's a local guy. Trey and Kay, I gotta mention him. Trey and Kay, they're a husband wife team. They do delivery and transport. I've yet to talk to them in person, but we actually waved at each other. They honked at me and I waved at them. He's seen me a couple other times, I think, since.
All right.
But yeah, he's in my market. Um, it's just how they screw you at the dealers, the way how they get screwed at the dealers, the way they get screwed at metrics is voodoo. Um, okay, I get what you're saying. Okay. The way you get jacked at the car lot, I can tell you about the car lot because I worked at the car lot. I know how people's heads get knocked to the next state line. That's what he means. Okay, I got you. I got
Oh,
you.
like undercoating and stuff.
Yeah. Stealing your trade. When you go to the box, which is the finance office, that's where that shit comes into play, or some type of warranty that really doesn't do what it says it's going to do. Things like
Mhm.
that. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes much more sense, because at first I thought, same as you, I thought he was saying that the metrics were helping drivers finance vehicles.
No, or
And
just
that would be the opposite. To me, again, I mean, I literally I'm sure I had points when I was starting these where I'm like, what is this? And why does it matter? And but like I really don't even care what mine are. I don't care. I turn them on and I do what I do, because I don't, if it doesn't make sense, I'm not taking it. I'm not taking it to even, well, I'll just do this one and then I'll do one more and then I'll be at this level. I've never done that. I don't do that. You'll lose. You will. I hate to say it, but you'll lose.
mm-hmm. You will.
I mean, it's by design too. If you're gonna play those $2 no tip orders, or even if
Yeah.
it's between to get you to some fake aluminum status, it's not. It's all by design. That's not meant to be the people who do figure out a way to earn on these apps a little.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yeah. The
just
people
my
who are
2 cents.
people who earn money on these apps, or if you're going to use the example, the DoorDashes and the Grubhubs and the Ubreats, the people who make money on the apps, they're not, I mean, by and large, I would like to think that they're probably going probably by way you and I go. You earn more by accepting less,
Right.
not accepting everything in sight.
Yes.
But you've got some folk who supposedly do well accepting everything in sight.
Oh yeah.
You've got those examples. In fact, you talk to one of them every week. At least that's what's being said. But I would venture to say that for as well, but you know what? It can go both ways. For every two people like you and I who may still be around, having done something, you've got 20 people who are struggling.
Yes.
Okay.
Or more.
And right. And the same thing with those who you got, for those two people who are accepting everything and doing okay, you've got 20 who are not doing, or more doing,
I
not
would
doing
even
okay.
say way more. 100.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
For every 2, there's 100 not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't follow that map. Like the people
Right.
take every order. No, don't do that. Do not do that. Like,
Well, here's
I mean,
Here's
that's literally saying this isn't working for me. I'm going to try this horrible idea that I know is horrible. I'm going to take every offer. Why? Just go get a job, dude.
You got to do that. Yes. Yeah, you might as well. You might as well just get your W-2
because you're
there.
running your car into the ground and you're doing it for them. So you're more of a you know, you're renting your vehicle to Uber. You know,
Gig Boss Man. He's out of Birmingham. He's out of the Birmingham market. Yeah. Geezer's back with the foul language. Is that what you mean by that, Gig Boss Man? With the no, I hadn't changed. I hadn't changed, man. Steve actually just got me out of hiding with the podcast today. he text messaged me and asked me, "Hey, would you be available?" And I said, "Sure, I'll be available for Steve." Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah, but see, your people are speaking on your channel, man. They're saying, "Hey, man, where are the lives?"
I'm gonna tell y'all the reason why I've not done one is because you know what I would do the I'm speaking podcast on Wednesday night, but then I don't get any sleep and I'm back out trying to make money, and so I kind of put it down and I hadn't gone back to it. I haven't found the balance in order to do the podcast because it takes some work to do that, man. With anything.
But if you noticed, and those even that have been listening to me the last couple podcasts, both Geezer and I have great sound tonight. Knock wood, but which isn't always the case. One of us has a little issue.
Yeah. Somebody told me I have America Online dial up and shit, man. You know, or you know, they can't hear me and all. I spent part of last night and this morning working on the fucking audio to make sure that it makes sense. And then I figured out a couple of things, including mic positioning. And so hopefully it does, you know, it is coming out. Like Trey says, only dummies take every author and tremendously. Well, Trey, I mean, you know that like when you see brokered opportunities, they come out and they book it. They book it when it first comes out for the number that's offered. They don't even think about trying to get money. But I understand what happens though when it comes to like low board based opportunities, because there are so many people trying to get in. They figured then they might as well just take what's offered as opposed to trying to get in contact and counter offer what they're going to counter offer. I believe this. Ultimately, what's for you, you're going to get. Because I'll give you a good example of one. This one opportunity, although someone criticized me for taking it for what I did, but on this particular day, it was the best thing out there. I happened to be, and I'll give the city and all that stuff. There was an opportunity in Aiken, South Carolina. I happened to be passing through Aiken, and it needed to be picked up short order. And so I put in for a number that was almost double what they were offering. And then I got in contact with the broker. I said, "Hey, look, man, I'm 20 minutes away. Come to find out I was around the corner from the place. Look, man, I'm in the bathroom about to take a leak. I'm here. Whoever's telling you that they'll do it for and whatever, they're probably an hour away, but I'm here in town." Well, I ended up doing, for me to talk the story, I ended up doing that particular run because I happened to be there in that town, and what come to find out, basically around the corner from the place, and I got the money. I got it for the money that I asked for. Obviously, it was for me. I still believe that to be the case.
Yeah. I mean,
no, I'm not going to say that it's hard to negotiate like me. Yeah.
Well, I would agree with him on that, because I would say that because of your term, thirsties.
Oh,
it is hard to negotiate like you, because you know where that line is, and man, there's a lot of them out there.
Yes, there are, and they would have taken it for the number just to say that they had it, but it did not make any sense to me, even though it was on the lower end of what I would have done it for, and I admitted to doing it for probably lower than, and I think I called it a reality check for me doing that particular order, that low board based opportunity, but it was the right move for that particular day. Now, Boss Man, he's saying it's hard to negotiate like me because there's some stuff that we did recently. He took it for over $100 less than what I took it for. So I'll just leave it at that. He made over $100 a day less than what I made doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were just saying too. Like even with the littler apps for the everyday person doing the apps, like they will learn. Like if you don't play the metrics, they will learn that. Stop sending them data. Data will. We already know this. In 2026, data is supposed to climb to 3 times as much.
Mm-hmm.
These companies do look at that factor. They don't want to send data if they know you won't take it. If they think you might, they'll send it.
Right.
But if they know Steve won't take that, I promise you. And if I stick to my guns and set my numbers, they won't waste their time on me with bad offers.
Right.
They will not do it.
They'll ignore you. And I think maybe that's happening. When we started out, I kind of talked bad of one of those apps that you know about. Mm-hmm. I think according to their metrics and to their data now, they don't even send me anything. They just say fuck these, and I say fuck you too. Then, whereas it used to be a time that I could call those people and talk to them on a first name basis. Now, the feeling's mutual. That's all I can say. The feeling's mutual.
In a catering. In a catering. This is catering. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out.
Steve, I'll text it to you. I'll text it to you. Okay. Yeah.
Your big boss says I didn't know what the going rate was.
Well, it's not so much as what the going rate was, man. It's about not taking shit for what they throw at you, man. Throw some shit back at them. If they tell you something different, try to find a middle ground. That's what negotiating is about.
But I go back to the fact of like even Curry, man, like people were telling me that they're sending me the same offer that they sent me in the app. I'm like, what are you doing? Saying no. Well, why don't you say I'll do it for 3 times as much? They didn't just decide to waste a text on you. They're saying, hey, will you do this for this? Of course they're going to give the same number you just saw it for in the app, hoping that you go, sure. But tell them, no, I won't do it for 20, but I'll do it for 60. And then they'll respond back, how's 57?
I never thought much of it when the guy told me, but this old guy, Ray Bissett, told me everything's subject to negotiation. Now, don't run with that for some other shit, okay? But this guy, I worked at a car lot. It was Pulliam Ford here in Columbia, and he was the guy that hired me. And he said everything's subject to negotiation. It's just a matter how effective are you in terms of negotiating. I didn't know anything because
that's a blanket statement you can make, though. That is a factual statement.
Mm-hmm.
Even a W-2, like you go in there and they're like, we can pay you 16, and you're like, I can't do it for $1 below 20, and they're like 18. I can't do it for less than 20. Either you're going to be walking out or they're going to come to 20.
Well, I actually did this, and I've said this, and I've done it. 9 to 5 guys were making $25 less. Okay, I know what you're talking about. There was a broker
but he's referring then to the thirsties, right? The people who will just whatever, dude. I'll just take it.
Actually, this is about something that mutual him and I would. So they took it for even less. They're taking it for the bottom base number. He got it for a little above, but then I got it way above all them. That's what he's talking about. Damn. Anyway, I'll just pass on my thought. I just lost my train of thought there when he put that up there.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much, you and I, like this, I run an hour. We always run 2 hours. We're coming up on
that
2
is true.
Here. But you guys, if you haven't checked out, I know half of you at this point, we're finally at a point where half and half, I think, are in both our chats. So if you haven't checked out my channel, check out my channel. And if you haven't checked out Gig Geezer, which I'm pretty sure most of you have, make sure you do. If you're listening on the audio podcast, or if you're watching this after, he puts out good stuff. And as you just heard tonight, him and I think a lot the same in terms of what we're not telling you what to do. And I said this the other day to somebody who was trying to who didn't know me well and was trying to kind of figure me out a little bit. And they're like, well, so what are you doing around these parts kind of thing? And I was like, listen, I'm not telling you to come to the gig economy, and I'm not telling you to get out. I am trying to help anybody with what I believe who's here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not promoting it, and I'm not demoting it.
Right.
I'll bag on it where it needs it. I'll be honest. I'll tell all the truth,
Right.
but you know, I'm
Right.
here to help the people who are here. I'm not going to tell you run, even though it might be the right thing.
Yeah. So he said maybe he's kind of thirsty. Maybe you are. God damn it, that's a personal problem, man. If you are,
Yeah.
No, you just Oh, this is what I was going to talk about. Mention briefly. There was a broker whom he actually had some decent money on the opportunity. If by most people's standards, is decent money on the opportunity. And I told him, dude, I'll walk over $25. He didn't think I would, and I did.
You have to. Once you plant your feet and make your mark, because then that's weakness, dude. I mean, I'm sorry. You might be giving up something where you're like, man, maybe I should have gone. Maybe I should have been the one to say that 25 less.
Mm-hmm.
But it needs to that's what I'm kind of getting at. It needs to come from you, because if you kind of are like making a point and making a line in the sand, you can't cross it.
Right.
You can't go, you know what? That's fine. Even if you think the guy's really cool or whatever, they trust me. They all take mental notes of this stuff.
Now, everybody wants to talk about cost per mile. I know what my cost per mile is. Cost per mile, cost per mile, cost per mile. Yeah. You can go according to that if you want, even though that is an objective metric that you create, but it's also subjective because because most people don't always take everything into consideration that goes into their cost per mile.
Yeah. I was even just going to compare like Colorado Springs just south of me. I don't want to even compare Denver traffic, just where it's pretty open there. You can just drive around down there. A 40-mile trip on Curry down there is not the same as a 40-mile going across the 5 boroughs of New York City.
No.
You need to make 10 times as much.
Right. Right. So, you can use, those type of things are guides and not they're guides to they're guides or reminders of how you are conducting your business. But then over time, you should know what you should have an idea of what you should make on certain opportunities. And that's what I was getting at with the example of my having the 2 opportunities yesterday. Ultimately, I ended up doing that run, at least based with the broker, for the type of money that I've been doing for other brokers. Okay. Right. Now, that's how you do business, because there's a certain amount of consistency with what you're doing as well. Yeah. There's a certain amount of consistency. And so when that other opportunity
you're leveling up your value, and you gotta, I mean, you can't just be like, well, with this guy, I do this. And
no, you got to be consistent.
You gotta grow your game and just be, maybe it's not exact, but you gotta be always going up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's on you. That, that's I don't know what all the terms are, because maybe I don't use all the terms, but if, that personal development, if you will, how you build yourself up and how you actually build up your business. If you aspire to do more with your enterprise, your personal operations, people are going to look at you from many facets. Okay. But the biggest compliment is that if they're all saying the same thing about you, good or bad, they're all saying the same thing about you. Hopefully you want people to be saying the same thing good about you. Some people may say I'm a foul-mouthed old motherfucker, but those who've talked to me know that I've been the same person for a long time, and I've produced the same type of results for a long time. Question for: do you consider $1 per mile bad? Yes. I think it's fucking stupid. Do not.
Yeah. I'll say even in a Prius doing food delivery, yes.
Do not just put that shit out of your mind, man. Put that shit out of your mind. God damn, man.
So like
In fact,
what my half of the answer would be is that, like we were talking earlier, and I was saying my car doesn't even turn on for $7 unless it's $7. If I see a $2, it's got to be $7 plus on any given app. And that's 350 a mile. So I mean, like and those are just my gauges. Those are my lowest gauges, like Geezer was saying. Then it's like kind of situational. Where is this going? Do I have tolls? How long? All the factors then come in. But I have my low gauges. I don't have like if it meets this, I do it.
so now Gig Boss Man is saying, well, is it thirsty? I'll let you decide, man. I'll let you decide that shit, but I'm going to tell you, put it out your mind.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, even a lot. I used to sometimes tell people $2 a mile, but I don't even try and do that stuff anymore.
I try not to even look at that shit, because I've also shown how you can fuck yourself out of money by thinking, like with your cost per mile or even dollar per mile, you can fuck yourself out of more money by thinking that way. So I put links to two different videos where I talk about dollar per mile, $2 and all that stuff. So you can click those. That's the part of Gig Geezer archive and then I also did one where I broke down how you fuck yourself out of money like that, dude.
Yeah,
that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing to be thinking about.
And see, and that's somebody who knows though too. That's not a newbie coming in here. You're talking about somebody that knows this stuff. Like none of us should be talking about this stuff. Like if we've been doing this.
Gig apps can do $175 to $2 a mile. Okay, Gig Boss Man. Let me put it to you like this. Then, if you're doing that with that fucking mentality right there, you want a last mile gig delivery app. Okay, you see an opportunity then that is 15 miles, paying $2 a mile. Okay, that's $30. It's asking you to transport a 2,500 pound pallet of tile. Are you going to do that then? Or are you going to think about $2 a mile? You'd be a fucking fool if you did that shit for $30. No, for something like that, you should be thinking three digits.
Right. And if I would even go and say, even if it was $4 a mile, what if it's going 100 miles? Do you have something coming back? Because 100 miles away is 100 miles back. So you got 200 miles.
It also depends on where you're going. Because if I go, Charleston is 100 miles away. If I did that for miles versus money versus time, what about your body and your effort? Fuck the miles, fuck the money, fuck the time. What about you? What about your vehicle? How much? I mean, there's other things that you have to take into consideration. You've got to expand your thinking than just that thing. Factor every mile from start to finish when you do brokered opportunity. See, there you go, Tremaine. That's part of it. That's part of the equation. I'm not telling on Trey's business. I'm telling him not exactly what the type of vehicle he has. He has a vehicle. He has a van where he has the capacity to do even more than what I can do. So I'm pretty sure that based on what I've seen of Trey with his comments, that Trey is taking a lot more things into consideration. Not to mention, Miss K ain't gonna let him just do anything as well.
I mean, you're right here. Your time is your worth. So how much are you worth?
As your body is too. I keep saying that. Your body is too.
Good night, Derek.
DSN, hey man, thanks for coming through here, man. I know we've been on this for a couple of hours now, but dang, see, Steve and I get going like that. This is how he started out late, because we were talking like 10 minutes beforehand.
I didn't. If you noticed this time, I didn't even say we'll run about an hour. I didn't even bother. I just started stuff and knew what would happen.
Well, I guess then thanks, Steve, for if I were stiff, we would have been done an hour and a half ago. So thanks, man.
No, man. Yeah, no. I loved this. And I think people need to hear this stuff, man. Like even if like at one point, well, we've been saying this for years, and I said it doesn't matter. We got to keep saying it. Every once in a while, you just got to stick it in there because somebody new is going to hear it and they got to hear it.
Yeah.
They got
So,
to hear
boss
it.
man, I hope you think beyond just that. That you can't do just that $1.75, $2 a mile deal, man.
No.
Because you're gonna leave money on the table. That's what I'm talking about. Now, I'm saying this stuff, and I've spoke good and bad of myself where I've made certain decisions. There's someone whom I used to have a lot of contact with. He would give me a fucking hard time. He called me up saying, "Man, you old stupid motherfucker. Here you are, you talking all this gig geezer shit. This and look at what you just did, man. I don't want to hear that shit." So I, you know, hey, hey, I try to. I'll just say that I try to practice what I pontificate. Let's put it like that. All right. I try to put
Yeah.
it into action. And so that may lead to what Steve was talking about with how much I made. I guess I'll put it like this, y'all. I'll type it in here and I'll say it. Mr. Meridian Heights, hey, thanks for coming through here, man. That's how much I made how much I grossed last year. I grossed just over 141,000 last year. I know of
Yeah.
someone who probably made the
Again, if
same
you're
type of
just
money.
joining, he does not do just DoorDash. He is not in a Pinto or a Yugo. He actually has vehicles and has an investment made into the B2B space. So if you're thinking, no
And
way anybody could do that, yeah, he's
I
doing
know
something
I
big.
know of a couple
But
of
he
folk
grew
who
it.
do better than me. I know some folk who do better than I do, and I earned over 15,500 last month. Now the reality of that is that this month I ain't going to be anywhere close to it. I'm just over $5,300 this month because of some significant market condition changes. And I'm in the process of coming up with an answer to it. In the meantime, I'm getting my ass kicked, but I'm over $5,300. There are people who can't say that right now. I understand that. So I've seen both. I'm on both sides of it. So what I'm trying to do is put myself in a position where I won't see a month like this again for a while.
No.
But that's what I did. That's what I did. And I've got the receipts. Okay. I got the fucking receipts. I just don't be putting shit out there. I got the receipts.
Yeah.
So
I honestly can say this. If you're out there just door dashing or doing food delivery, I think it is very hard and I know market to market. I'm going to make a broad comment. I think it's getting next to impossible to make $1,000 a week. Even if you're putting your tail in 70, 80 hours, which you
right.
shouldn't be doing. You're killing yourself at that point. At that point,
Right.
I hate it. Get a W-2, guys. Or
Right.
find a way to get out there more and do independent contractor stuff, because
I'm
running your car in the
good.
ground, you're running your body in the ground.
Right. That's why I keep saying that. I'm the old person, okay? And I am, y'all. I'll put it like this. I went to junior high with Daryl Strawberry. I went to junior high with Daryl Strawberry. That should tell you how old I am. All right. Anyway, what I'm getting at is it's just one of you. It's just one of you. I'm not saying, and I'm not saying that just to be sane. It's just one of you. You got to take care of yourself in the process. You want to be able to keep doing this if this is what you choose to do for how long you want to do it. And while I earn those numbers, look at my. This is not a sorry pitch for my content, but I've got 4 years worth of content where I've gone from one thing to another thing to another thing. Okay, it's not like this shit just happened overnight. It didn't. Okay. Yeah. It did not happen overnight. You just, and I'd be very leery of the content that you see out there where somebody comes in saying that they did that shit right out the gate.
Oh yeah. Man. Yeah. I was going to say, don't even get me started, because I feel like those people are starting to even multiply.
Right.
There's new people doing it now. And I'm like, dude, that game was over years ago, man.
Right. So, I mean, and the couple folk that I know of who do it, one person in particular, I know his revenue streams with one of his revenue streams. He's been involved with it in some form of fashion for the last 15, 16 years. So it just didn't start overnight for him.
No.
Some of the other stuff he's evolved into the other stuff. But I made the decision that I made making again. I started out rideshare.
Yeah.
I remember November 2017, my best day rideshare was $250, and I worked my ass off that day. I said my best week was $882, and I put in like a 45-hour week that week, and I was worked my ass off for that. Okay, that was November 2017.
It's funny because it's November 2017. You're talking about 5 months after Travis Kalanick left Uber, so it's like that's when Derek Kashimawi stepped in and. Whoo,
right. Well, it was doing it before. It started earlier in the year, actually, but and then 2000 with the shutdowns. Well, actually, 2019 was the first week in gig economy that I earned over $1,000 a week. And I thought that was a big fucking deal, big milestone. Then 2000 with the shutdowns, I saw $1,400 weeks. And then I started, I got up to,
on food apps, no less.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think it was
I'm just pointing out people could do that. And before the pandemic, you couldn't make $300 on Uber Eats or DoorDash. Nobody was even using the food apps.
Yeah,
most people didn't even know they were around.
My best day prior to the shutdowns was like $300 in a day.
Yeah.
Now for the year, so all I'm saying is that I have worked my way up to where I'm at. It could be that you could do it much sooner listening to content like mine that might give you an idea on how to put together a strategy. Okay. And that could be the case. But just to look at 90% of the stuff out there, they're selling you the credits, they're selling you the dream, the movie, and everything else.
Yeah.
Let's see, Gig Boss Man about 40%. Okay. I get what you're saying, man. I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying that I think that the $1 a mile is not what you need to be thinking about. The $2 a mile. Don't even use that as a means of justification for your decisions. Fuck that. That's just my opinion. When I first started in this space, 2023, I was kind of use that justification, but later that year when I started asking for more and was getting more for the same type of opportunities, I stopped that $1 a mile shit thinking. I stopped that.
You have to. That's why I was saying when I have mine, they're literally jumping points, and they're probably double what the people who do those when they said, "Oh, I only do $1 a mile or $1.50 plus." My jumping points are probably double theirs. That means that I'm touching it just even to get a second glance. It needs to at least be that. Then I'll look. That's what I mean by jumping point. Like I'm not going, I don't go, you know what, whatever, I'll take it. I don't play that game. Because that's giving in. That's when the apps learn this dude makes bad decisions.
You know what? Speaking of $1 a mile shit, now in December 2024, I did an opportunity Charleston to Dallas, and I earned $2,750. It was a 1,000-mile trip. Now, I know what the base offer was for it. I did not get that opportunity starting out. They actually came back to me for it. And because I put in $2,750, I know most people had grabbed it, had accepted it for like $2,100. I think that's what it came out at. But I came in asking for more money. That's why I got what I got. Bottom line is, you can't get the business unless you ask for it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And you know what? Going on, I know you well enough. I know which one you're talking about. And I can already tell you what happened. Somebody else did take it for a little less, and they assigned it to him. And I'm guessing the guy himself realized, wait a minute, I haven't had an oil change. Wait, my car isn't up for a trip that long. He just saw the price and was like, I don't want it. And then he looked at, wait a minute, what? I got to drive how far? And not everybody's ready to on the spot leave. Not everybody's ready to.
I think of some other things that went into the decision making with that particular person. But the bottom line is that I ended up doing it.
But
Okay.
yeah, but my point, I guess my point was I've had other long haul ones where I'm thinking higher, it gets taken, but it ends up back in the pool and I get it for the higher.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with being the higher because that's being the realist.
Right. Right. Now, I guess we do have to agree to disagree, boss man. But you're a grown person. You're gonna do what's best for you, and I'm not mad at you, man. It's just that I am going to advocate what I advocate. Um, and maybe what I advocate is not for everybody, but
No, but I think it's for I think it's more now than ever. People should be listening to. I mean, people listen to my podcast all the time, but if you're not listening to Geezer, now's the time because even if like his numbers sound high to you and you don't have a van or something, you don't maybe you're like I don't have what he has. It still inspires you because you need to start thinking bigger than gig app. Instacart ain't going to pay your bills. DoorDash is not going to pay your bills.
alone they're not. Alone they're not. They're not going
Yeah,
to do that.
even the two together aren't going to be able to pay any of your bills, not even one. My point,
Mhm.
and maybe one, but I mean, my point is, multi-apping can work too. But like, you gotta, everybody just has to. I'm not even sure what it is for each of you because we're all in different markets. But you gotta start thinking bigger.
Yeah, and that's with anything. It really is. It's with
Yeah,
anything that you do. Um,
but I
I
mean, the
mean,
cost
even
of a car, finding a car these days, the fact that you have a car, don't run it into the ground for these companies. It just,
right. There are
I don't know
two
how else to say
YouTubers
it.
in Arizona full time making over 100,000 in just DoorDash, and I do it 15, 20 hours a week and make 450. Don't give up your W-2. You're right. Don't give up. Well, don't. I mean, keep your job. But you know what? There's another part to all this. Not everybody's cut out for this type of stuff. Not everybody has the disposition,
Sure.
or they just don't have the disposition to do this. I know for me that the reason why I have done this and have kind of made the commitment, sink or swim, to do this because I'm not really cut out for W-2.
Yeah.
I'm just not. So I have to make this work because, and especially at this stage in life for me, since I'm still working and all, I have to make this work. So I've had to make certain decisions and make certain investments in myself in order to do this. So
I would,
again,
just if you're comfortable, I would like to know the two YouTubers that you're talking about because 15 to 20 hours a week, 100 grand a year on just DoorDash. I don't know about that guy. I'm just saying,
well,
I'm not calling you out or nothing. I'm just saying.
I would venture to think that they're putting in a lot of hours, and to say
He's
that they're
saying
doing it
15 to
fucking
20 hours a week.
no.
Yeah.
No, he said he does in 15, 20 hours a week and make full $500. And he's a part timer. But
Oh,
I don't
oh,
say give up
oh,
your
oh, okay. I'm sorry. I read that wrong. So you know what? Yes, you're right. I wonder about the YouTubers, is I guess what I'm saying. um, luckily I don't know their
again.
names yet.
I don't knock anybody. Again, this is, we're all pretty much, we're all similar, in similar spaces and all. I just do, this is just one part of what I do and all.
Yeah.
Boss man saying he makes, let's just say about $1,000 a week doing Walmart. Hey, good for you, man. Believe it or not, I've been trying to get on Walmart Spark since 2019 and still can't get on. But yet I've got Twic. I can go on anybody's military base and all that stuff and all. I'm good with that. I get on most other apps, but for whatever reason, I can't even get on Walmart Spark. Go figure. I guess it's just not for me to get on there.
This is a good comment too, you know. And I get,
Yeah,
and
even
yes, I mean, to what works for you. If you can make that on Spark, I don't know how many hours that takes you, but that's good money.
yeah, I've heard folk make money on Spark. I have heard that, and I have heard that. But yeah, at least you can get on the app. Again, I've tried since 2019 and cannot get on the app.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Bubba
think
Sue,
Sue Well, she's. I
Yeah.
think she's saying, give us the YouTuber's name, because part of the issue became two
Mhm.
YouTubers are making, and we were just talking about nobody by name at all, But we were
Mm.
just saying how a lot of people are gonna make things appear to be much shinier than they are.
Keeping it, yeah, I agree with you as far as making the money and all, and living within your means. I'm all for that, man. I've shown and I've shared how my handling my business, where at least how the gig economy was the platform by which I got myself out of bad credit. At one time, my credit in November 2018, my FICO at that time was 540 something. In 2022, my FICO was 740.
I think
Now there
everybody
were
should have
other
got
factors.
everybody should have got a reset at the pandemic. Just my opinion.
Well, the reset was that if they got that reset, now a lot of folk are in shit that they're because of that. But anyway, all I'm saying is that yeah, I agree with you that it's how you manage your money as well. You want to be in a position to put money back and all. And I've shared how it's been a little bit of both with me, where as I've moved along, I've been working to pay off stuff. Like I paid off 2 vehicles last year. Okay, and I work to pay down on credit card shit and all. And I've got certain things that I got to pay every month now because I got to. But I have also done the responsible. I believe that I've done the responsible things in spite of what some people may think may not seem to be. But I know what I've done in the process. So I'm kind of sharing something that most people won't. So I
And again,
agree.
on your channel, you can see it. He's explained how he did it. Here's
Yeah.
what it did. Here's how it
Right.
worked out. Here's what
Mhm. Yeah,
happened. Here's
I did a couple of videos in which I showed how I've tried to increase my cash flow, basically pay down on bills by 2,000. It turned out to be 2,500 a month. Within 3 months, that's exactly what I did.
yeah. Yeah, he's saying he has
So,
no credit cards, no vehicle
so
payment,
that's
but you're still running the vehicle down though.
well, he has what he has. I know what he has, but when you're in that type of position, yes, you can probably do things for less because you don't have the costs. I guess I'm
Mhm.
always thinking I'm the hard charging person who's trying to get as much as I can every time. Whereas when you have that to fall on, yes, well, yeah, you can kind of take it for you don't have to do like what I do. So use what I say as a guide and not gospel.
That's all. Yeah, that's exact. Well said. Because that's what I was trying to get at. Saying your story isn't going to fit everybody, but there's lessons
No.
to be learned, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the same about me. I think I try and tell people, hey, here's what I do. And that's why I was saying, like, some people are like, dude, you make twice as much as me. And like, when I get down to where are you from, I'd love that one because they end up being
Right.
from somewhere cheap to live. I don't live somewhere cheap at all.
Right.
Like Denver is not cheap at all. So,
Hell, I mean, just for example, I mean, I could have gotten an apartment, but I didn't rent an apartment. I'm renting a house. Well, why don't you buy a house? Well, I'm divorced, and I'll just put it like this: my name is still on the mortgage, but I'm not obligated to pay the mortgage, and so um, it's not in my advantage to be trying to get to have a second house on paying for a quote second house, but renting a house, for example, even in my market 5 years ago, you could find you a decent home renting for about 1,100 a month. Now, many of those homes are going for 2,000 a month.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I
So
think I think anything's about 2,000. It doesn't even matter anymore. Like you want to
yeah,
live
I'm
somewhere, it's about 2 grand where I am. You can't even
right.
find.
Well, I mean, a lot of places that I've seen are for 2,000. I'm not paying 2,000 a month, but my point is, you know, you do, you have to, you also do things according to your personal situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, if it's working for you, man, then
Yeah.
it's, I mean,
See,
only in fact,
right.
only know
Not the
what
money,
the
but the
reality.
horrible decision made with it in the past. You see, there you go. See, now that's how you try to make better on your hopefully you learn from those errors. You
Mhm.
know, that's how. Gig Boss Man, yeah, that's how he got into this. He'd been on the W-2 and they
Mhm.
let him go. And they did him. I said they did him a favor. He says, "Oh, I get where his explanation is, though, but I think they did him a favor by letting him go because he's come into more money than what he made on the W-2. So he is making things work. It's just that we may not agree on certain things, but he's making things work. That much I do know about his situation.
Yeah, and even his name, Gig Boss Man. I mean, there is something. Even if you're making the same amount, there is something to, even though you're using your own car, you are your own boss. And I just don't like going too far down that anymore, because unless you're optimizing that in all
Right,
ways, I
right,
feel like you're only taking a sliver of what an independent contractor is.
right, right,
Whereas if you're going to do it, at least keep trying to, whoa, man, I
right,
can do this too. Wait, what's going
right,
on?
right. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. So Geezer, thank you. We ran way over. This is probably the longest one we've done.
Yeah, this is like about one and a half of what we usually do.
But everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying up
Yeah,
late and hanging out
yeah,
with us. And hopefully there's
mhm,
something to be learned here, people watching on replay or listening on the podcast. Take it for what it's worth, like we both said. And I don't know, what are your
yeah.
final words here before I sign us off with the outro?
I don't have much to say really. No,
I mean,
you
you've
didn't
said a
hold us
lot,
up, boss.
so
Boss man, you didn't hold us up. No, you didn't, man. Thanks for coming through here. Thanks for
nobody
contributing.
held us up. That's what this
No,
is.
yeah. So no, Steve, if I'm going to say anything, thanks everybody for stopping through here tonight. Thanks for participating. Really,
Yeah,
thanks for
absolutely.
participating. And Steve, thanks for inviting me. You got me out of the geezer cave for a little while.
And you're always welcome here. You know that. So you guys, thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next time, I guess, huh? Be safe out
Yeah,
there, earn smart, and hustle hard.
yeah, that's right. There we go.